Apple is being sued for false advertising in regards to their Apple Intelligence advertising. Because yeah, if you ever saw those ads, they were pretty blatantly like, not gonna happen. And on top of those ads just being unrealistic, the entire appeal of Apple Intelligence depended on you, the user, being vile human garbage. At least that's what the ads were conveying to me. And that really isn't much of an exaggeration, I think, because if you actually watch the ads, every instance of using Apple Intelligence is really just ignoring a person and not communicating with them directly. A lot of the ads depict like family members relying on Apple Intelligence to be like a good parent, which is crazy. Like the whole concept of Apple Intelligence seemed to be how much can you not interact with people. That seemed to be the whole thing to me. And personally, I never liked this aspect of AI. I think it's the worst part about it. I think if we're using technology like this, it is probably time to change the way we communicate in general if we feel the need to do this as like a society. I just don't want to live in a world where people feel the need to send ChatGPT messages to people and then have ChatGPT summarize their messages they receive from people because they also wrote that with ChatGPT. I think that makes sense. Like, I just don't like the idea that everyone's using some layer of ChatGPT or a ChatGPT equivalent to talk to each other. I think that's dystopian and horrible. Like, I've heard stories of people using ChatGPT to write extremely heartfelt messages to people, and I think that is unhinged. If you have ChatGPT write a heartfelt message to someone, that's not you writing that message. It's not. It is a robot, and I think that's dystopian. I think it's terrible. I really hope for the sake of my sanity, this is a common sentiment, but I'd imagine most people would feel at least a little weird if someone sent a heartfelt message that ChatGPT wrote, because at the end of the day, it's not a person writing it, it's a robot, right? Even if someone's own words are worse, I'd rather hear their own words because they tried to write them and tried to like convey a message themselves. But on the flip side of that, I also understand why people would want to use ChatGPT for something like, you know, work communication. But at the same time, I also feel like if everyone's using ChatGPT in the workplace to talk to each other, you might as well just stop doing it altogether and just type like you normally would. Like, what's the point in using ChatGPT if everyone's using it? It seems kind of stupid. And it's also a little depressing that people feel the need to use an AI trained off of Reddit comments to talk to people. But in regard to this Apple lawsuit, Apple is basically being sued for none of these features existing at all. I skimmed through the documents in the lawsuit, and I am not a lawyer, just so we're clear, and they showed screenshots of features that were promised and never delivered, and basically Apple gave themselves a year deadline in the advertisements. It didn't fulfill that, deadline. And I don't have an iPhone 16, so I can't check this myself. If you have an iPhone 16, let me know in the comments below if this actually, it works for you at all. Do you have a fraction of the promised AI features? Because my guess is probably not. The only time I've really seen Apple Intelligence brought up outside the context of like Apple announcing it was news websites complaining about Apple Intelligence summarizing their articles wrong and just saying things that didn't happen. And it would be genuinely fantastic if these AIs did not have these glaring problems, but they just do. These tools definitely have use cases. But the last thing I want a large language model like ChatGPT to do is summarize my personal life or news events. But circling back to that Apple lawsuit, these types of lawsuits are going to keep coming for AI companies. The law firm that's actually filed the lawsuit for Apple is also suing Google and OpenAI for similar things. And I think it's probably a good thing they're being sued because they've made ridiculous claims about things. And on top of that, they've also stolen the entirety of all copyrighted work in the world, allegedly. That's kind of a big deal. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Subscribe if you're new and like the video if you enjoyed, and click the enter and check out more of my content, and have a good one.